Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And just like that, we are off and running. It is Talking Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. And we are live this morning from Bill Penny Toyota. That's right, sitting out here in the service department on a Thursday morning. We usually are out here on a Monday, but thought we'd change things up a little bit and be on out here on a Thursday. And today is one of those magical Thursdays if you are a fan of college basketball or if you are a fan of the NCAA tournament. Today is the day that it gets started in true earnest. Yes, we have had our first 4 games. We had those on Tuesday. We had those on Wednesday. So the tournament is officially and has been officially underway. We just now get it in real earnest today. And Legacy Arena will be a huge site for today's tournament games, especially, and this is rare, and we have had Alabama and Auburn in the NCAA tournament together. It has happened in the past, but I don't think it has ever happened where both of them are playing in the same regional site, and that's exactly what we get today in 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Hey, we're going to be your home for the early action, and that is top seed Alabama taking on Texas A&M Corpus Christi. That is that 116 seed. Alabama a 24-point favorite over Texas A&M Corpus Christi. That one will get underway at 1:45. So if you cannot watch it, which some of you may not be able to because it is in the middle of the afternoon, we are here to the rescue. 97.7 ESPN The Zone is. So download that 97.7 ESPN The Zone app today so you can listen to some Alabama basketball from inside Legacy Arena coming up later this afternoon. Again, the Tide a 24-point favorite over Texas A&M Corpus Christi. And then you have the intriguing matchup at 5:50 inside Legacy Arena. That is going to be 9th seed Auburn taking on 8th seed Iowa. Right now, Auburn is a 1-point favorite, and probably because they are playing inside Legacy Arena, that would be why Auburn is sitting at a 1-point favorite. Now, the action inside Legacy Arena will get underway at 11:15 this morning. You have another 8-9 matchup, and that is 8th seed Maryland taking on 9th seed West Virginia. Auburn Tiger fans very familiar with West Virginia. Auburn traveled there earlier in the year. West Virginia coming in a 2.5-point favorite in that ball game. Then you have the Alabama game, and then you have the Auburn game, and then the nightcap inside Legacy Arena. You get another number 1 seed, and that is top seed Houston taking on 16th seed Northern Kentucky. So those are the 4 games that will be inside Legacy Arena today. Now, of course, Houston, those familiar with hoops around this area, especially North Alabama hoops, and I say North Alabama, I mean the University of North Alabama, UNA hoops. Former head coach Bobby Champagne is an assistant there under Kelvin Sampson at Houston, so it is a return for Bobby Champagne to the Yellowhammer State. Yesterday, both Auburn and Alabama getting a chance to meet with the media. And by the way, 256-576-4977, that is the number to the phone line. That is the number to the show. If you want to get in on the show this morning, feel free to do so. All you got to do is give us a call, 256-576-4977. Before we get into the Alabama press conference, though, don't forget, time is running out, but you still have time to get in on the bracket challenge. All you got to do is head to our webpage, 977ESPN.com, and click on the bracket challenge. You can be a part of the bracket challenge At stake is an all-inclusive membership, family membership to Cherokee Ridge. Everything, golf course, clubhouse, pool house, pickleball courts, tennis courts, swimming pool, driving range, everything. You still have time. Until those games are tipped, it's not locked, so ESPN doesn't lock it until they're tipped, so you got time. But Alabama meeting the media inside Legacy Arena yesterday. And if you head to our YouTube page, WCCN TV, Alabama, Auburn, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, Iowa, they're all there on our YouTube page. And we got this yesterday from, we told you the national media would be in attendance, and they were.
And Nate, Dan Wolken, USA Today. A few minutes ago, I noticed something that I've never seen before in 20 years of doing this, which was an armed security guard accompanying Brandon to the podium. I was just curious what the thinking is behind that, and how often do you have security with him right now, and when did it start?
If you guys saw some of what I've seen sent his way, I think you'd understand why that's the case, and I don't want to get into all that. It's the entire situation, as you know, is, I mean, it's just a heartbreaking situation on all accounts. But some of the messages from people that can sit behind fake email addresses, but who knows whether they're real or not, that I've seen, something that nobody would ever want their son. I treat my players like my own sons. I don't have a son. I have 3 daughters, but I put myself in his parents' shoes, and our administration's seen the stuff that I've seen, and it's appropriate. It's nothing a college kid should have to go through. So I think if you were able to see what I've seen, you'd understand why that's going on right now.
That was Nate Oates yesterday during Alabama's media press conference, and that was in reference to the fact that Brandon Miller, with an armed security guard there inside Legacy Arena yesterday, everywhere he went.
Yep, I saw a little bit of the practice footage. It's really sad that it's reached something like that, where a lot of people that are fake and, have nothing better to do but then to harass an innocent person are doing things like that. But if you're the University of Alabama, you have to protect the student athletes. There's no question about it. And again, through the process of an investigation and law enforcement investigation, Brandon Miller has been deemed innocent. And in this country, you're innocent until proven guilty, even though a lot of people like that moron that just asked the question, Woken, and a lot of these other clowns basically convict you before, even they look at all the evidence. But there's a lot of people out there that will harass people and say things and jump to conclusions, and it's really, really sad. And I feel for Brandon Miller and his family. I feel for everyone affected in the entire situation. And as I've said many times, the 2 young people that are responsible for it are behind bars. I know there was another report yesterday about another member of the Alabama basketball team, Kai Spears, being on the scene with Brandon Miller, and I believe, and Alabama has refuted that report.
That was in the New York. That came out in the New York Times yesterday.
Yeah, via Joe Biden. But yeah, absolutely. It was an erroneous report, because guess what? If he were in the vehicle, I've said this 100 times, and these fools with agendas and these people that just don't want to believe things, the dash cam would have shown this.
Right.
I mean, his dash cam was on throughout the entire process. So I don't understand why these erroneous reports keep coming out, and why people that spew things like this aren't held accountable. I mean, to me, it's libel, it's slander. You're bringing somebody into the conversation that's not even involved. And, of course, it's brought up right before Alabama plays their first game in the NCAA tournament, too. Anything to grab a headline, anything to try to get a click or something like that. So it's really ridiculous. And at one time, I think the New York Times was considered a great publication. But like a lot of newspapers that are dying in this climate right now, you probably couldn't use it to line your trash can.
All right, so there was some good stuff that came out yesterday. Here is some more of Nate Oates.
A tight-knit and close in the chemistry with this group, how it's been. He wanted to come in and help his teammates, and then also the quicker he was able to get on the floor, the more he could kind of get the rust. You can only get the rust knocked off so much in practice. So when he came for that South Alabama game and he was cleared and ready to go, and we'd kind of got up large enough, like, Jake, you want to get some minutes in the game? He's like, yeah, let's do it. So I thought that was pretty cool. We got him in that quick. Now, you see how well he's playing now. I don't know if he's playing as well now as he is if we didn't get him started when we did, because he went through some slumps. I mean, you've got to, in your mind, if you're coming back from an injury, you've got to be able to fight through the fact that, it's going to take a little bit to get more comfortable. So he went up, came down. He's on an upward trajectory right now with his play, and it's needed because we needed. He was great. I thought he was maybe the best player on the floor against A&M. Did an unbelievable job defensively against Wade Taylor, who's one of the best guards in our league.
And that's making reference to Javon Quinterly coming back from that knee injury and playing at a high level.
Yeah, I mean, he's played unbelievably in the last month. He got his juice back, his first step. He did have some trials, as Coach said, and some bumps in the road. Coming back, becoming confident in the knee again. He had some turnover issues in some games where he didn't shoot the ball quite as well. But when you're coming back from a severe ACL injury, which it's almost an exact year, because he did it pretty much is. I mean, last year during the first round of the NCAA tournament, or the round of 64, where Alabama took on Notre Dame, he was hurt in the first 3 minutes. And if you were watching the game, and I certainly was, as soon as you saw it, I mean, it didn't take a genius to figure out it was something severe. And so, yeah, man, I mean, it takes time to come back from an injury like this. It's been an amazing journey for him. It was chronicled yesterday by one of his trainers on Instagram, how far he's come. And it's it's stunning. I mean, honestly, it's amazing how the medical science has just evolved over the years, because ACL injuries used to mean the end of a career, or at the very least, out a full calendar year. In other words, maybe not even playing this season. But Javon Quinterly, as you heard Coach reference, he was pretty much back on the floor early in the season. I mean, because the first thought was that he might not make it back till conference play.
Right.
But if you watched them during the off season, in the summer months and into early fall, you could see he was moving around well and that he had confidence in it. And as he referenced, as Coach Oates said, he got together with Javon and he's like, hey, how are you feeling? Do you want to try to do this now? And they did, and they worked him back in the lineup. And that was one of the reasons why he wasn't in the starting lineup. They wanted to work him back in, see how many minutes he could gradually handle. And then by the time the SEC tournament came around, Scott, plus the team had been in a little bit of an offensive slump for 4 games, but Javon Quinterly was ready to return to the starting lineup, and the strategy worked. And I certainly thought he was a catalyst to winning the SEC tournament last week in Nashville.
All right, let's get our first break in. When we come back, we will check in with Bruce Pearl, the Auburn Tigers, as they were in Birmingham. They met the media as well yesterday. We'll continue to get you ready for what will be a busy day inside Legacy Arena and around the country. It's the full day of NCAA basketball tournament.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Officers got a report of a new wreck on 565. This one's eastbound near mile marker 10. Wall Triana is mile marker 9. And we had a wreck on Brindley Mountain. Apparently they sent a medical helicopter to that one. Also a stabbing incident this morning in Hartselle. That one's on Colony Lane near Village Drive. Got a large law enforcement presence there. You could fly Breeze nonstop to Orlando, Las Vegas, or Tampa for $49 and up. What are you waiting for? You could book today at flybreeze.com. Seriously nice. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This April, the Corn Ferry Tour returns to the Rocket City for the 2022 Huntsville Championship at the Ledges. Experience the beauty and drama of the Ledges in person as golf's rising stars chase their PGA Tour dreams. From the first man on the green to the roar of the crowd when the final putt drops. Be a part of every moment on the mountain. April 28th to May 1st. Tickets to be a part of the action are on sale now at HuntsvilleChampionship.com.
Feed your rhythm at Rhythm on Monroe in downtown Huntsville. Located inside the Von Braun Center at the corner of Clinton Avenue and Monroe Street, Rhythm has everything you're looking for to have that perfect evening. Dinner, drinks, and live entertainment. Check out our Facebook page to see this week's local musician lineup. Find your rhythm and feed your rhythm at Rhythm on Monroe. Visit the menu and make reservations at rhythmonmonroe.com. Parking at the Von Braun Center is discounted when you provide your receipt at Rhythm on Monroe. Now's the time to order your spiral cut honey glazed ham or turkey for Easter from Apple Lane in Decatur. Or maybe consider ordering the family meal deal for Easter that includes an Apple Lane ham, a dozen rolls, sweet potato dumplings, potato salad, and Apple Lane's award-winning banana pudding. If you're hosting a corporate event or just a group of friends, Apple Lane has you covered. They have all kinds of box lunch and party tray options. To order for Easter or anytime, log on applelanefarms.com. Apple Lane on the Beltline in Decatur.
Employee onboarding?
Automated.
Customer support?
Automated.
What if you could automate all your company's routine operation tasks and do it easily? Lead management?
Automated.
With Zapier, you can. Zapier is the leader in no-code automation. Connect over 5,000 apps, automate almost any workflow, and streamline your team's performance without hiring a developer and with no coding required. That's right. Zapier's templates make it simple for you to automate anything in minutes, no matter your level of expertise. Zapier eliminates routine tasks and frees your employees to focus on the bigger picture. And with Zapier's advanced security features and annual SOC 2 audits, your data is safe and secure. See why thousands of companies, including Slack, Salesforce, and HubSpot, trust Zapier to automate their businesses. Even complex tasks?
Automated with Zapier.
Try Zapier for free today at zapier.com/radio. That's zapier.com/radio. Zapier.com/radio.
Who knows comfort? Well, comfort is our middle name. If your home isn't as comfortable as you want it to be, we can fix that. We service all makes and brands of heating and cooling systems, even if we didn't install them. So give us a call. Environmental Comfort Systems. Visit our website at envcomfort.com. We are your independently owned American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. Alabama license number 92314. Environmental Comfort Systems. That's envcomfort.com.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey Wes, our company Fleming Roofing and Restoration specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey Wes, we show up.
There we go. Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. You still have time. You still have time if you have not gotten into the 97.7 ESPN The Zone Bracket Challenge. You still have a little bit of time. It does not lock until the game starts, so make sure you get to our webpage, 977ESPN.com. That is where you can click the link, join our bracket challenge, and win an all-inclusive family membership to Cherokee Ridge. Enjoy everything that Cherokee Ridge has to offer, not just the golf, the swimming pool, the clubhouse. You can enjoy the tennis courts, pickleball courts, driving range, clubhouse, the dining room, everything. All-inclusive there at Cherokee Ridge. And now's the weather. The weather's going to be getting cold. I think we got another cold spell coming in. Yeah. So, after the tournament, it'll be nice, and you'll be able to get out there and enjoy that at Cherokee Ridge. Now, the Auburn Tigers, they are inside Legacy Arena later today. They're going to take on Iowa. Before we hear from Bruce Pearl, Zep Jasper had something to say yesterday. And Alabama fans, do you feel like Zep?
I'm actually cheering for Alabama. I want to see them win. I want to see them have success because they're another team from Alabama. And, Brandon Miller, he's a guy that, that reminds me of Paul George. So, I'm pretty excited for him. This is opportunity, showing why he's one of the best players in college basketball. With Nate Oates being, having a great year with coaching. I'm rooting for him. I don't know if they'll be rooting for us, but, a guy like me, I like to root for people who, who's having success in the year. I'm actually cheering for Alabama.
Zep Jasper yesterday talking about the fact that he is going to be rooting for Alabama for success today, especially in a tournament. We already know that, how many people will be rooting for Auburn like on the otherwise? Is it? Are the players rooting? The players are rooting for each other.
The players are all rooting for each other. That's never been the issue. It's always been the fan bases. And certainly Bruce Pearl, I heard some of his comments as well. They asked him about Nate Oates and Alabama and how good Alabama was. I believe Kevin Skarbinski asked him that question about, would Auburn fans turn out and try to get a decent amount of tickets, because Alabama knew for a while they were going to be the number one seed and very likely in Birmingham. And this was a little bit of a surprise that Auburn
it was.
But he said, he certainly said that he had competed against Alabama twice and felt like Alabama was good enough to win it. And it was also asking about Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley doubled down and picked Alabama to win the national championship. And he said, Charles loves his state. He certainly is an Auburn man through and through. But if he picked Alabama to win it, he meant what he said. And so he said, certainly I think Alabama's good enough to do it. And I think in some cases that they are going to be rooting for one another. There'll probably be some that there won't be. But again, it's a neat deal. It's something you'll never forget, though, because it's certainly something that, first of all, Bruce Pearl did mention the fact that it's been the first time in several years that Birmingham's had the regionals.
Yeah, he mentioned that the late Mike Slive, how much work he put in to getting this there to Birmingham and everything. And had Legacy Arena not been redone, had it not been renovated, had it not been, Birmingham would not be hosting this NCAA regional. And there was a lot of talk about, that they had to renovate the BJCC. They had to go through the renovations that they did to even host this. So it wasn't like they woke up a year ago and said, let's start doing this. This is a 10-year plan or a 6-year plan or whatever to get this tournament back to Birmingham. Wolverine Dan is with us this morning. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Dan.
Gentlemen, how are we doing this morning?
Doing
We are
good.
doing pretty good. How are you?
Well, very well. Now, Drew, let me ask you. Brandon Miller is the reason why Bama's, one of the reasons why, and a large part of the reason why Bama's as good as they are this year, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now, let me ask you this question. With all the controversy surrounding the young man, he could be possibly the reason why.
It's kind of like a cliffhanger right there, Dan. You kind of cut off right as we heard the reason why. Yeah, we still got you there?
Are you there, Dan?
All right, Wolverine Dan's going to have to get back with us. He'll call back, but let's go to Hunter real fast on the phone lines. Good morning, Hunter.
Morning, Hunter.
Morning. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Sir. How are you?
Okay, playing. But I'm going to go ahead. I wasn't calling about the whole Brandon Miller situation. It's kind of aggravating me, the fact that you got all these grown adults sitting here going, oh, he's guilty, and I was feeling that's where Wolverine Dan was going. I had a feeling about to say, I wonder if he's the reason the dude got shot. No, it's not even that. People don't I don't get it, and people also don't realize Alabama has only lost one game since the incident.
That's true.
Yeah.
When in this society has it been acceptable for other grown adults to attack a kid that is in college playing basketball for a university that has been proven innocent? I'm going to get off that soapbox. I'm tired of hearing all the talk about it. Let's talk basketball.
I agree. I mean, I think basketball should be the topic, Hunter.
100%. But not just Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller this, Brandon Miller that. What about Jalen Carter with Georgia? Incidents like that happen all the time. Let's get over it. Let's talk sports. But no, what was that question they asked the Auburn player? Was it Zepp? What made him come out and say he was cheering for Alabama?
Well, they were just asking, and as we talked about, Bruce Pearl was asking about it as well, because they're both in the same arena, and they're playing back-to-back games, and Alabama fans are going to probably take up the majority of the tickets. Every school is given a allotment. But the Alabama fan base is probably going to buy up most of the tickets, and they were just kind of asking the Auburn players and Bruce Pearl, what do you think about playing in the same place as Alabama? Are you going to be rooting for Alabama? And I believe I think both teams were asked similar questions.
Yeah, they were asked somewhere along that line. And,
exactly.
And Zepp just came out and said, "Yeah, you know what? I'm rooting. I'm rooting for him." And folks, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, it's the fan bases that are usually on the split. Lots of times, these players, they have played together so many times. AAU basketball, summer basketball, they have played with each other so many times that I am sure that there's guys on the Auburn team that have played with Brandon Miller at an occasion or somewhere along the lines. And so they know each other very well. They probably talk to each other during the season, not like pick up the phone and have a 20-minute conversation. But I'm sure that there's messages sent back and forth during the year. And you know what? Zepp was perfectly honest. Hey, yeah, I'm going to root for Alabama. It's the in-state school, yeah, but you know what? They're playing well. I want to see them have success.
Right. I was very surprised with that he come out publicly and said that, because they have the rivalry between Alabama and Auburn. I mean,
it's a rivalry, yeah, but I think it's the hate comes from the fans, not the players.
100%. That just threw me off. But, the competitors, like, come on, dude, you're still in it. You go make a run. You last longer in Alabama, let the Alabama fans and players cheer for you.
Yeah,
I was just shocked.
Yeah, well, and then the one other thing, too, is Auburn and Alabama, they won't play each other unless it's the Final Four. That would be the earliest they would play, and honestly it would be the national championship game because they're on opposite sides of the bracket completely.
Right. But I was just wondering, I couldn't find that question anywhere. It was just, how the media likes to do it, just show a response. But that makes sense.
Yeah, no doubt. Appreciate the phone call, man.
All righty, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting. And as a fan, and I am sure as an Auburn fan, if you're waking up and you hear Zep Jasper's comments, you're like, wait a minute, how can an Auburn Tiger be saying, hey, I want to see Alabama have success?
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that you're going to be like, well, wait a minute, that can't happen.
I mean, it was eyebrow raising when I saw it yesterday, but when you hear it in context, it makes sense.
No, he does, and you know what? And basically, he's alluding to the fact that Alabama's had a lot of success this year, and Brandon Miller's played well, and Nate Oates has coached well, and you know what? You want to see him there. Let's go back out to the phone lines. We got Wolverine Dan back with us. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Dan.
All right, so I know I might have stirred up some feathers, the gentleman that called previous to me.
No, your question got cut off, so we didn't get to hear your question.
Okay, all right. Here's the deal. Now, there's some controversy. Yes, there was something that happened with a young lady, and that's awful that she lost her life and everything. We all get that, okay? And I'll give credit to the coach. The coach has done well of keeping the team together, not letting it being distracted by this. Now, but the thing is, what I'm trying to tell your previous caller is that it's really going to escalate a humongous, because it's a storyline that they're salivating. The broadcasting stations want this, okay? Even though it's very morbid, it's awful, it's not a good thing, but they're really going to get bombarded with that. And I believe, and so far, Alabama's coach has done a really good job of keeping the team together. And Drew, you must agree with me that this is going to be a daunting task, but it can be done. But don't you agree the volume is really going to be notched up on this?
Well, I mean, it could be. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't understand how you can ask the same question a different way over and over and over again, because I don't think the report that came out yesterday was accurate, and I don't think there's going to be any new information. Now, I don't know that for a fact, but I don't think until the trial starts, and that's probably going to take due process and a few months down the road after all this is over. But I mean, it's kind of piggybacking off what Hunter said. Stick to basketball questions. You may have one question where somebody asked Brandon Miller the same thing the 15th time, but again, there's only so many times you can ask the same stuff. And Alabama's done a great job of preparing Brandon Miller for it. Nate Oates has, and I think the kids are now kind of, I don't know if they've calloused themselves toward it. They understand it's going to be asked, but they've done a great job of keeping their nose to the grindstone and then just trying to focus on basketball. And so far, as Hunter pointed out, they've only lost one game since that time, and of course it was to Texas A&M at the end of the regular season, but they quickly steadied themselves and played very well and got better each game in the SEC tournament. And now we'll see how they play in the NCAA starting later today at 1:45.
Wolverine, I hate to do it to you, but we are hard up against a break. We got to get one in here. When we come back, we're going to continue getting you ready. There were two more Final Four or first four games going on last night. We'll talk about those.
Right. I was awful at the other three.
We'll talk about those and more when we return. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Definitely a little more cloud cover across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. That cloud cover will continue to build across the area as we head into the later part of the afternoon, early into the evening. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-60s Thursday afternoon. Rain's going to begin to build into the area as we head into Thursday night, early into Friday morning. Could even see a couple of embedded thunderstorms. Temperatures only climbing into the lower 50s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a wreck reported on 565. This one's eastbound about mile mark Apparently, it's going to turn out to be a no injury. And we got a stabbing in Hartselle. This one's on Colony Lane near Village Drive. They sent a medical helicopter to that one. I don't have any more details at this point. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
With over 100 F-150s to choose from and available financing as low as 0%, now is the perfect time to put one in your driveway. It's Truck Month at Woody Anderson Ford. Hi, Bobby White back again, inviting you to come on in for the best selection of F-150s we've had in a while. And if you find one that you like, there is no payment for 90 days. Also, during Truck Month, not only do you get 0% financing for up to 36 months, but we've also got 2.9% financing for 5 years on remaining 22 models with your good credit through Ford Motor Credit. This offer ends April 4th. And don't forget, we make it really easy for you to trade in and trade up on a Ford Blue Advantage Gold Certified or Blue Certified pre-owned vehicle. Great warranties, 24-hour roadside assistance, and you take it home with a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. Hurry on in for Truck Month. 0% financing, no payments for 90 days, and over 100 F-150s to choose from.
This is the only place for Drew DeArmond, Wes Neighbors, and of course, Tom Abraham.
I never met him, but I hear that he's a man of character.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you, hanging out until 9 a.m. Don't forget, head to our YouTube page, WZZN TV. You can check out all the press conferences from yesterday. Alabama, Auburn, Iowa, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi. They are all there on our YouTube page. And don't forget, head to our webpage, 977ESPN.com. That is where you still have time. That's right, you still have time to get in on this year's bracket challenge. You don't have much time left because the start of today's sessions will be coming up in about 3.5 hours. A little 3 hours and 45 minutes, somewhere around there. So you still have time until that first game is tipped or they're introduced the lineups or whatever. That is when ESPN will lock it, and then you will not have a chance to be able to join the fun. So join the fun, get in on it, and be a part of the 97.7 ESPN The Zone Bracket Challenge. We are live this morning from Bill Penny Toyota, sitting out here in the service department. Don't forget, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., they can take care of your vehicle. Then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., Bill Penny Toyota. Don't forget, they also rent vehicles now for you. So good big thanks here to Bill Penny Toyota. There was 2 more first 4 games going on last night, and there was some really horrendous offense by Texas Southern last night.
Yeah.
Farley Dickinson, 84-61. They're through. Okay, 16th seed. They will play tomorrow.
Then it was even worse.
But there was some Texas Southern three-point shots that didn't even come close to the rim last night. I mean, Avery Johnson was on the call for that game last night.
Yeah.
And he was kind of funny at one point by just saying the fact that these shots are really bad. They were hitting just the under part of the basket, like the rim, like if in horse, these are weird things that you would try to do. And And then Arizona State on the other end in the second game, they shot almost 60% from the field last night. It didn't matter whether it was a zone defense, a man defense. It didn't matter what defense Nevada put out there. Arizona State just torched the Wolfpack and Steve Alford.
Yeah, for example, Scott, you were just educating the listeners on how bad Texas Southern shot the ball. Well, they were 1 for 17 from 3.
And I'm going to say like 12 of those that weren't even within 10 feet of the rim.
Yeah, well, they as you said, they couldn't throw it in the ocean. And then Nevada, it looked like Mark Godfrey, basically took over Steve Alford's body, and I've thought that for many years anyway.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, it's kind of interesting, though. It's almost the polar opposite. Like, Nevada, they lose the game, by 25 points. You just mentioned that. But this is crazy. They shot 48%, went 11 of 21 from 3, and yet they lose the game 98-73. But to show you how insanely hot Bobby Hurley's team was, they shot from 2. They shot nearly 64%.
Yeah.
And then they shoot 11 of 21 from 3, nearly 53%, and get to the free throw line 24 times, only 14 times for Nevada. But I watched some of both games. You're right. Texas Southern could not throw it in the ocean.
If they were standing 2 feet from it.
Luckily, the first 4 doesn't count in a lot of these bracket challenges because I crashed and burned. I would have lost 3 of 4. But my only saving grace was Arizona State.
Fairleigh Dickinson in there because, no offense to Texas Southern. I believe the SWAC has only won one in the last 10 years. I think they've only won one NCAA tournament game. Yeah,
and Texas Southern won it, and that's why I picked them.
Oh.
And then they shot horrendously bad. They were down 10-2, and it was over.
If that's a precursor for your bracket, we're in trouble.
Well, I hope not.
Because the Czar's going to roll.
It can't possibly be as bad as last year.
Come on, you cannot lose this.
Last year was so horrendous. My national champion didn't even make it out of the first weekend.
You cannot lose this to the Czar.
Heck, and then the last few years, the worst, Scott, the worst bracket. Last year was bad.
Yeah.
My national champion was gone by by the weekend because it was Tennessee because they lost in the round of 32 to Wolverine Dan's Michigan Wolverines. But the worst and the most horrendous was 2018.
So who do you have in your Final Four this year?
But first of all, what I mentioned in 2018, you know what happened in 2018, right?
I can't.
It was the most historical thing that's ever happened.
Well, that was Virginia losing to.
I had Virginia winning it all. And they lost to freaking UMBC.
Okay.
So a 16 beat a 1, and that was my 1. And I was a year ahead of time. Like I was horrendously wrong, and yet Virginia won it the next year because we all know. Because remember they beat Auburn, controversial ending, and
they won the national championship.
They went from horrendously losing to UMBC, and they didn't just lose to UMBC.
Oh no, it wasn't a buzzer beater. It wasn't what it was a flat out beatdown.
77 to 55. It was what we saw yesterday in the first 4.
Yeah. So who do you have in your Final Four this year? Who do you have?
I have Alabama coming out of the South.
Yep.
I have the Midwest. I have Houston.
Okay.
Because they're the number 2. So that's the 2. I have 2 1 seeds.
Okay.
I've got 2 1 seeds there. And that is the South and the Midwest opposite of each other. And then in the East, I've got the Duke Blue Devils.
Okay.
Coming out as the 5 in where Purdue is the 1. And then in the West region, this one was probably the hardest for me, but I picked UCLA.
So I have Alabama, Duke, Texas, and Kansas in my Final Four.
We have 2 of the same.
Yep, and I have Alabama. I changed it. Because you can, but I have Alabama and Kansas.
Yeah, because you can change it up until the tip-off.
You can, but I have Alabama and Kansas
in the national championship
game. I look, and a lot of people are going to say, well, Kansas was flat out awful in the Big 12 championship series, so how can you get them there?
Yeah,
they didn't have Bill Self in that. Kansas has played well, I think, this year, but I think having Bill Self back as your head coach will give that team a little bit of extra confidence, and I think they will go into the NCAA tournament and play a lot better than what they did in the Big 12 tournament.
Well, I mean, just because you lose your conference championship game doesn't mean you're not going to play well in the NCAA tournament.
No,
We've
but
seen
not
that
having
happen
your head
before.
coach, I think, has a lot to do with that.
Think about this. I mean, Houston got blown out by Memphis in the American Athletic Conference tournament, and they didn't have Sasser. So, and we talked to Bobby Champagne. You referenced Bobby Champagne on on Zone Center today, who was for 16 years was the UNA coach. But if you go back and peel back the onion, Champagne worked twice for Kelvin Sampson.
He did.
He
at
did.
Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
at Oklahoma.
At Oklahoma, yeah, he certainly did. And at Washington State. So they had a long history. And so now he's a basketball operations and director of basketball strategy, part off-court guy for Houston, and is doing a great job for Coach Sampson. And the funny thing is, I even referenced this when we introduced him yesterday. You and I had talked to him on Talkin' Ball. He had just taken the job at Tharptown. He was going to hit a small high school, and then a few weeks later, he gets announced at Houston. And ends up taking this job and is back in college basketball because of his deep relationship with Kelvin Sampson. But, he told us that he thinks Sasser's going to be okay. They're optimistic that he's going to play. And, as he said, they didn't play as well. He said, first of all, you got to give credit to Memphis. He said Memphis is a really good basketball team that people need to watch out for. But, again, he goes, we got tough-minded kids. We always focus on defense and rebounding, and that's what they do. And then that's why Coach Sampson's had a lot of success in the tournament. And certainly he's not thrilled with the fact that he's in Birmingham with a potential to play Auburn because of all the fan support they could get. But like Coach Champagne said, Houston's not playing until tonight, and I mean like the last game. So it gives the Houston fans a chance to travel down. He said they traveled well last year. And the trade-off is if you get through this weekend playing Auburn in their backyard, if Auburn beats Iowa, if they beat Iowa, which is not a certainty, then eventually if Houston gets to the third weekend, they're playing in their backyard. I mean, they're not playing at their home facility. Their home floor. You're playing in a 70,000-seat NRG stadium, which I had to double-check, Scott. I know they like to play them in these big, cavernous venues.
Yes.
I was shocked that they kept the capacity at 71,000. Wes Neighbors and I were joking, like, if you're up in the nosebleeds,
it's going to be
even with binoculars, you're not going to be able to see anything. Why do that? Why not just watch it at home?
No, they're not.
Wow.
We got to get a break in. And speaking of being at home, Grand Canyon University ran into something yesterday that just would be a nightmare situation for a lot of basketball. We got to get a break in. We'll fill you in when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Had a wreck reported eastbound on 565 about mile marker 10. That's going to be east of Wall Triana. No injury reported there. And we still got a lot of law enforcement on the scene of a stabbing incident near Hartselle. That was on Colony Lane near Village Drive. They have one person in custody, and they've flown one person from the scene there. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Humphreys has a brand new team to take care of downtown Huntsville and a new menu to go with it. Check out Humphreys' new small plates like fried Brussels sprouts and fried green tomatoes, new street tacos, and the best pork chop in town. Not to mention shareable desserts made by our own pastry chef at the bottle. Best of all, Humphreys still has the best happy hour nightly drink specials and free live music. So get to downtown and get to Humphreys Bar and Grill, located online at humphreysdowntown.com.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Now's the time to order your spiral cut honey glazed ham or turkey for Easter from Apple Lane in Decatur. Or maybe consider ordering the family meal deal for Easter that includes an Apple Lane ham, a dozen rolls, sweet potato dumplings, potato salad, and Apple Lane's award-winning banana pudding. If you're hosting a corporate event or just a group of friends, Apple Lane has you covered. They have all kinds of box lunch and party tray options. To order for Easter or anytime, log on applelanefarms.com. Apple Lane on the Beltline in Decatur. If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Dr. Rick here, with another telltale sign you're turning into your parents, getting particular about your drive-thru order.
Don't pull away yet. I like to check the bag because one time they forgot to give me extra ketchup.
People are waiting.
I'm only seeing 4 nuggets. Wait, nope, there's 5.
Progressive can't help you from becoming your parents, but we can help you compare rates on home insurance with Home Quote Explorer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We told you that it was a rough day a couple days ago for Grand Canyon University and everything, and the Antelopes.
That is what they are, yes.
Yep. And so each team is a chartered flight to go to the NCAA tournament. Well, Grand Canyon boarded their chartered flight. They had the cheerleaders, they had the band, they had the players, the coaches, they had everything on there except for somebody forgot to bring the players' jerseys, shoes, and everything. All of it got left behind on their way to Denver, Colorado. Now, the good news is Bryce Drew's the head coach there at Grand Canyon.
He is.
His brother Scott Drew is the head coach at Baylor.
That's true.
Baylor just so happened to be in Denver as well. And so Baylor offered up the reserve practice jerseys for Grand Canyon. And Bryce also said that a trip to the Nike store was probably going to have to be in order. There was another school, Regis University, where Grand Canyon practiced. They lent them some jerseys and some equipment as well. So Grand Canyon was able to get everything done. Now, yesterday, everything did arrive in time last night for Grand Canyon, so they are all back to being normal. But Grand Canyon University forgot all their players' stuff. All the band stuff and the cheerleader stuff made it, but that's about it. Jeff from the Borough with us this morning. Good morning, Jeff.
What's up, Jeff? What's going on?
What I tell you about Mississippi State? Told y'all. It didn't belong. Again, they lose in the first 4. And how about them Gators?
But that doesn't mean they didn't belong. They just had a tough night. Doesn't mean they didn't belong.
I don't know, but maybe I don't know. But
so I mean, if Kentucky when Kentucky lost to St. Peter's in the first round, does that mean Kentucky didn't belong in the tournament?
That's a huge upset. That don't usually happen. Okay, we're not going to go there. I mean, Kentucky's lost in the first round before they'll lose again.
That means they don't. By your standard, that means they don't belong.
Well, do you really think Mississippi State belongs? You think Vanderbilt belongs?
No, I thought yes. You know what? I thought Vanderbilt. Yes, Vanderbilt had a case to make. If Vanderbilt had played better in the preseason, yes, Vanderbilt had a case to be in that NCAA tournament. I think Mississippi State belonged in it. I'm not going to say they didn't belong in it because they lost in the first four. I'm just saying, I mean, you look at what Chris Jans did at Mississippi State in year one with everything that he replaced, everything that he did. Yeah, I thought the year was a success.
I agree he did a good job. I'm not saying he did, and I agree.
Yeah, I'm just saying that, no, I think they belonged in the NCAA tournament.
I ain't they belong, but I'll just say this. Drew, if you picked Tennessee to win a national championship, you picked regular season rig, oh, my Lord. When was that when they had Grant I learned how to fall down Williams and Admiral Schofield?
That was last year.
They couldn't even beat Auburn in the SEC. You picked them to win a national championship. Well, I wish I had some money with you on that, because I took it everything you got. I never picked Tennessee to win. I picked them to win a chess match before I picked them to win a national championship in basketball. I can tell you that. And you get Alabama in the Final Four, I wonder why. Things that make you go, I wonder why Duke's in the Final Four. I bet if you're coach, you put him in the Final Four. I bet that. So we'll find out today what's going to happen. How about them? How about them Florida Gators, 16-17? How about them Boise State Eagles last night? OVC, baby. Took out Clemson ACC. So and North Texas UAB won their first round game. So we're going to find out today. My prediction, West Virginia will beat Alabama in the second round. So y'all hang in there, guys. See y'all.
Well,
I mean, look, I'm not going to say Mississippi State
maybe Kentucky
didn't
will
belong.
win tomorrow. Maybe. I don't know. I barely picked them to beat Providence. That was one game that
So if they were to lose, can we say Kentucky didn't deserve to be in the tournament?
I mean,
did you think Mississippi State deserved to be in there?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, they didn't make the last shot or get the tip in, and they lost a tough game to Pitt. But, I mean, they got in the first four. I thought they deserved to be in. And there's been teams go from the first four to the Final Four. I mean, on multiple occasions that proved they should be in. So, again, we'll see. And I'm not surprised Jeff from the Borough picked Alabama to lose early. I mean, he hasn't really given – he wants to talk about us never giving Kentucky credit, which is stupidity. I said Kentucky would get in the tournament when a lot of people were panicking, thinking that, John Calipari should be fired and they weren't going to get in there. I predicted they would make it. No question about it. I thought they would right the ship, and they did. They did. They became a sixth seed. Alabama could lose in the second round to West Virginia. There's no question that, but West Virginia's got to win today. They're a slight favorite over Maryland. We'll see. I do think
Maryland is lengthy, and if Maryland plays okay, when you get to the NCAA tournament, if every team plays up to their capabilities, they have a chance to go on a run. Maryland is no different. West Virginia is no different. Auburn is no different. Iowa is no different. But I think West Virginia does have a slight advantage there. I do. They do. I mean, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how good the Big 12 is as well. The Big 12 was heralded as the best conference all season long. Is the Big 12, or is this the year the Big 10 finally does something? I think that's more intriguing. Who has a better run? Is it going to be the Big 10? Is it going to be the Big 12?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, and that's where there'll be some people thinking because Alabama didn't handle Oklahoma very well that the Big 12 will be a difficult obstacle for Alabama potentially. And Bob Huggins' team is physical, and they did beat Auburn. If you remember, they played Auburn at West Virginia in Morgantown, and it was an 80-77 game. So we'll see. But Alabama they've got to beat Texas A&M Corpus Christi first. And, Jeff from the Borough and the Wildcats, they've got to beat Providence tomorrow because last year they did choke. Last year they went down in flames. Last year they stunk.
Providence is not a pushover.
And then Providence with Ed Cooley is not a pushover. Ed Cooley's name is prominent in the Georgetown search. we'll see what happens there. But again, Jeff, he could be right. He thinks Alabama's going to go down in flames. I like Alabama's chances to get to the next weekend. We'll see. I think Alabama's got a better chance to get to the next weekend than Kentucky. And by the way, I've got Kentucky getting that ass whooped by Kansas State. So buckle up, Jeff.
All right. Hour 2 live from Bill Penny coming up next. It's Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Check out VSiN's catalog of original podcasts, daily and weekly programming to keep you in the know when you're on the go. Only at VSIN.com. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
NCAA men's basketball heading into the first round of action today. Purdue a plus $300 bet to win the East. Marquette plus 420. Kansas State plus 900. Alabama the favorite in the South at plus 200. Arizona plus 440. Baylor plus 550. The Midwest favorite, no surprise, Houston plus 135. Texas plus 450, Xavier plus 900, Indiana plus 1100. In the West, Kansas plus 320 leads the way, followed by UCLA plus 350, Gonzaga plus 400, UConn plus 550. Houston, the plus 550 favorite to win the national title. Get the latest lines and more at vsin.com.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
ESPN, there's all Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. And I just want to mention this. Jeff from the Borough mentioned that Mississippi State, he didn't feel in his eyes belonged to be in the NCAA tournament, okay? And that's the caller's opinion. But just think about this. Nevada entered the NCAA tournament on a 3-game losing streak.
Right.
All 3 losses came from non-NCAA tournament teams from the Mountain West holding sub-90 net rankings. So you want to talk about someone that was questionable on being in the NCAA tournament? Look at Nevada, not Mississippi State. All right, so it does begin in full earnest today. Does the NCAA tournament, and the Texas A&M Aggies last year were left out in the cold. They were playing in the NIT, snubbed from the NCAA tournament. This year, Drew, not the case, but the committee don't know if they have a love-hate relationship with Texas A&M, but you could say maybe not the most favorable love to the Aggies, despite being runner-up regular season winners of the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this anyway. I thought that the Aggies were underseeded. I was a little bit surprised. I mean, they were easily the second-best team in the SEC, Scott. They were a game behind Alabama in the regular season and then got to the tournament championship game for the second consecutive year. Certainly they did not win it, but they had a very, very good season when you think about their in totality. Going 17-4 in the SEC. They get a 7 seed in the Midwest Regional. They're playing in a very tough first-round game against Penn State. There's a lot of people picking Penn State. I'm sure Jeff from the Borough did too, because he hates everybody but Kentucky in the Southeastern Conference, and that's why we just love Kentucky on this show. But again, Texas is the 2 seed in that region, and they would play each other. If they both win. Now, that will create a ton of storylines. We've been talking in the first hour about Alabama and Auburn rooting for each other, but Texas and Texas A&M is a huge rivalry that will be renewed in a couple years when they're together in the SEC. But right now they're not playing, and they could potentially play in a very, very important round of 32 matchup. And I think you've already said you have Texas in the Final Four.
I do. I think they
some
can
do.
Get there.
I mean, they're very very prominent by a lot of people. I personally have Texas A&M getting to the Sweet 16 and beating Texas. I think A&M is being undervalued, and we're going to talk about that with On3Sports.com's Marshall Levinson, as he is part of Aggie Scoop covering the Texas A&M Aggies, and we're going to talk about that this morning for a few minutes on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Marshall, welcome back to the show. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good this morning. Thank you guys for having me back on.
Yeah, no doubt, Marshall. We appreciate the time. Do you agree with us? Were you surprised that A&M only got a 7 seed? I certainly was.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was a ton of. I mean, especially how they ended the season in the tournament. You lose to Bama, but a lot of the projections had them. I saw them anywhere from 3 to 5. So then on Selection Sunday, you pop in at 7, and there's certainly some, like you said, maybe a love-hate relationship there with the NCAA. But I think a little bit of some undervaluing there. But now I think that kind of flips into now they're one of the more valued kind of sleeper picks, if you will. Yeah. I mean, if they were a 4 or 5, I don't necessarily know that you count them as a sleeper. But if they come in as 7, now they're kind of one of those. You wouldn't really call them a Cinderella run, but somewhere in between expected and Cinderella is where they fall in now.
Yeah, and then now they get into they get there. And this team, what would be the expectations? Last year we saw them, I guess, play that chip on their shoulder, getting into the NIT and getting all the way through it. What is their motivation this year to go into this NCAA tournament and try to make some noise?
Well, I mean, I think this is one of those teams where they probably don't need a whole lot of outside motivation, but I think if they did, then they got it with the 7th seed. I think they probably feel a little bit disrespected. I'm sure that some bulletin board material is never necessarily a bad thing when you're looking to go into a tournament, and this is like the first time they've been into the tournament in 4 years. This is the first time that Buzz Williams has brought them, so I'm sure there's a little bit of a determination factor there of Buzz wants to do good, the players want to do good for Buzz, and this is the first time that they've been in the tournament together. So as far as making a run, the Aggies have never made it out of the Sweet 16, so I'm sure that once they get there, it's going to be a little bit of uncharted territory, but I think this team has the pieces to make a run, and I think you saw most of that in the last month and a half, 2 months from this team.
I really like this team. I think they're tough-minded. I love Buzz Williams and the chemistry and I just think the culture that he's built. And I think guard play, Marshall, is very important in the tournament. Certainly, I think Wade Taylor, the 4th, is an outstanding player, and certainly Boots Radford. Their perimeter guys are very, very good. I thought they played very well throughout the tournament, even at times against Alabama, though I think Alabama just played their best game of the tournament anyway, and did a good job defensively at times on A&M. But this is an A&M team that was very consistent throughout the regular season. I do think the one thing where it hurt them with the committee is they got off to a slow start. They were 6-5, as Wade Taylor mentioned to us, before they turned the corner, and they didn't play maybe as difficult the non-conference schedule. Now, I still think they deserved around a 5 seed, worst a 6. But what has the conversation been around College Station with A&M potentially getting to play at Texas in a round of 32 if both of them win?
Well, like you mentioned earlier, I mean, you mentioned Auburn, Alabama, kind of cheering for each other. I mean, it would be, I'm sure both A&M and Texas, that would be one of the better round of 32 games, just from a storyline component that we've probably seen in a few years, especially with that rivalry going to be renewed in the next couple of years. Texas has been one of the best teams in the country. A&M feels like they've been one of the best teams in the country, so now if they get to it, they really get to figure out who's correct. And like you said, I mean, this team will go where Wade Taylor goes, and I think Wade Taylor knows that. I think Buzz Williams knows that. I think the rest of the guys know that. They're going to need to be him to be on his best game, and again in the tournament, and this may come down to the Texas game. It may come down if they get past that. They're going to need to win some games, probably 1 or 2 of them where they don't necessarily play their best game. So if Wade Taylor doesn't drop 25 or 30, is there someone else that's going to go kind of pick up the slack, pick up those missing points, and get them there? And I think the Texas game will be a perfect test for the Aggies to kind of prove that, yeah, we're undervalued, we should be here, and that we're one of the best teams in the country. And I think you'll probably see Wade Taylor take that game over a little bit, or at least be given the opportunity to do that.
Well, they're going to have to slow down Jalen Pickett from Penn State. They're first, and this was hard to believe, Penn State's first All-American since 1955. But Penn State is one of these teams where there's a lot of people around the country that kind of have fallen in love with Penn State as a sleeper. So definitely a team that should have Texas A&M's attention in round one.
Yeah, and Penn State shoots the three ball really well. So, I mean, it's going to have to be, and A&M does not necessarily shoot that much, at least in comparison. So it's going to be one of those games where if A&M cannot defend the three ball, it's going to be hard to keep Penn State close to you. So you need to defend the perimeter, and A&M's going to need to make their shots in the paint and get to the line, because when you're going against a team that can shoot threes at a pretty quick pace, if they get going, they can separate pretty quickly, even if it is 6, 8, 10, 12 points. Sometimes in the tournament, if you get that ahead, it's hard to get back. So, especially for a team that doesn't necessarily shoot that many threes. So yeah, you're right. I mean, they're gonna have to defend. They're gonna have to defend Penn State really well. And I mean, because of the seeding they got, Texas A&M does not really get. It's going to be a tough road if they go down it. They don't really get that first round break, like you said. Penn State's a popular pick to be one of those runs, and A&M's going to have their hands full trying to make a run of themselves. And I mean, I think this is one of the most intriguing first round matchups we'll see, because I mean there is a ton of games where it's kind of like, okay, yeah, this team is probably going to win here, and you know there's going to be some upsets you don't expect here and there, but this game is going to be a battle from the start. And I mean, right now you could probably flip a coin and figure out how this one's going to go. It's going to be a battle.
Well, and in your mind, Marshall, if A&M is going to move on and win this game against Penn State and Micah Shrewsbury, who's done a great job coaching there, much like Buzz has, kind of changing the culture and transforming the program, how are they going to get it done later tonight?
Well, like I said, I think you're going to have to defend the three. I think they will out-rebound Penn State, which is important, because if you can get on some transitional buckets, get some easy buckets if they're not rebounding well, I think that's going to be important. And then I think like you said, guard play is extremely important. But I think the bigger men are going to have to put some buckets in too. I mean, Coleman is another one.
Yeah, Henry Coleman.
He's averaging 27 minutes and around 10 points or so. If they can get him to 13 to 17 points, I think you put yourself in a really good position if he can just get a couple extra buckets a game. And then, yeah, I mean, Wade Taylor's averaging, I think, 16 or 17. I think you want him to get to at least 20, just kind of outplay his normal, just kind of get to that next little level of production, and I think you can kind of battle that three-point shooting team. But, yeah, you just can't the most important thing with Penn State is you can't let them get on a hot run where they shoot 3, 4, 5 threes in a few minutes span, because that can really dampen some runs for Texas A&M.
And Penn State, though, the one thing that they do lack is size. They are not a tall team. They're not a big team. I think their tallest player is a learning freshman at 6'10". That's all they have. Texas A&M should be able to get to the free throw line, get that ball down low, bang inside, and that is a part of their game plan. So that there fits perfectly to what the Aggies want to do.
Right, and that's what I say. I think they will out rebound Penn State pretty easily on both ends, and like you said, get to the line. A&M's been pretty good at that, and they're gonna need to make them again. It's going to be interesting. I don't think Penn State's going to do much inside the arc. maybe here and there, little spurts. I think A&M will be able to handle that for the most part. But if A&M gets to the line, they're going to need to make their shots, and that's from top to bottom. So I don't think A&M should get really into any foul trouble. But if they can force Penn State to do that early, then it just makes everything that much easier. If they can get Penn State's kind of starting five into maybe playing a little physical, maybe get a couple fouls here and there early on, you can probably get some of those guys on the bench pretty early and kind of wreak havoc from there. So, I mean, I agree with you. I think they're gonna use that to their advantage. You there, guys?
Hey everyone, this is the Bandy Man Bailey Lowry. We're having a bit of technical issues on the side, but want to thank Marshall Levinson from AggieScoop.com for joining the show. We're gonna take a quick timeout. When we come back, more Talking Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Had a wreck reported eastbound on 565 about mile marker 10. That's going to be east of Wall Triana. No injury reported there. And we still got a lot of law enforcement on the scene of a stabbing incident near Hartselle. That was on Colony Lane near Village Drive. They have one person in custody, and they've flown one person from the scene there. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Valley Equipment Rental has grown by leaps and bounds over the past year and is adding more and more equipment to their already impressive fleet. Valley is a locally owned family equipment rental business serving the entire Tennessee Valley. They concentrate on the local contractors, building repeat business and specializing in long-term rentals for their local contractors. The benefit of long-term rental is that they stay on top of their assets. If something you own goes down in a field, you have to stop and fix it before you can finish the job. With Valley Equipment Rental, they will fix it on site or bring you another machine while that one's being fixed. More importantly, Valley is locally owned and operated, which means when you have an issue, you can get someone on it right away, right here in the Valley. Heck, ask for Ross Roberts, the owner, if you like. Try calling one of the big box national outlets and asking for the owner. That's if you can even get through the automation. Buy local. Buy Valley Equipment Rental. Valley Equipment Rental has 2 locations, one on the North and South Parkway. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com.
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that. Chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, 2317 Memorial Parkway. Check out our menu and even order online at BadDaddy'sBurgerBar.com.
Humphreys has a brand new team to take care of downtown Huntsville and a new menu to go with it. Check out Humphreys' new small plates like fried Brussels sprouts and fried green tomatoes, new street tacos, and the best pork chop in town. Not to mention shareable desserts made by our own pastry chef at the bottle. Best of all, Humphreys still has the best happy hour nightly drink specials and free live music. So get to downtown and get to Humphreys Bar and Grill, located online at humphreysdowntown.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey Wes, our company Fleming Roofing and Restoration specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey Wes, we show up.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hammaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com. Welcome
back, Talkin Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. And in case you are still trying to fill out that bracket, keep this in mind. Kansas is your defending national champion.
Yeah.
There has not been a repeat national champion since Florida.
Yeah, 06, 07. Sorry, Jeff.
That has been the last time we have had a defending national champion. Now, in 2021, Baylor was defending their national title. They lost in the round of 32. In 19, Virginia was defending their national title. They lost in the first round. Villanova lost in the round of 32. North Carolina lost in the round of 32. Duke lost in the Sweet 16. So it's been a tough road for defending national champions the year after they win it to make some progress in the NCAA tournament. Just throwing that out there if you're still trying to put the pencil to the paper to fill out that bracket as the deadline nears. All right, Richard's with us this morning. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, Richard.
Morning, guys. God, are you going to watch the Hawkeyes tonight?
No, I am not. I'm going to, I will do it from my house, but my mom has called me religiously about 1 million times between now and then and just keeps reminding me that I grew up a Hawkeye fan, I grew up in the Hawkeye State, and that I better be rooting for Iowa come this evening, and that I better be rooting for Iowa. So I have been informed by my family not to forget where I grew up at.
Actually, for Dan, too, Michigan plays Vanderbilt in the NIT in Nashville on Saturday morning at 11, so he can even go catch the Wolverines, and within a couple of hours drive. So actually, you got Michigan, getting close by if he wants to go see the Wolverines play.
Yeah, well, we've got some trips coming up in the end of March and stuff that we're going to, and just didn't really want to spend that money to drive down to Birmingham You know what? I know a lot of people. I've got a lot of friends, a lot of people that are making that trip down. Some of them were down on the beach area. They were down in the Florida area on spring break, and they're cutting it short because it's close for them to get back up here and go to the game. So, but yeah,
you guys were talking about the championship game in a dome. I used to live in Atlanta, and I think 2002 Maryland won it. It was in the dome, and I got tickets. And at that time, they've actually changed. Now they put the floor now in the middle of the stadium.
Yep.
But at that time, they put it in the court, one end of the the Georgia.
And they
Dome.
still had the black curtain breaking off the Georgia Dome. Yeah,
I remember that.
Well, no, actually, but they sold tickets because I was on the other end. I ended up with 4 tickets on the other, the end opposite where the the floor was. So I mean, you couldn't see a thing, and luckily. Drew like this, but they had torn the Omni down, and they were building Phillips Arena. So the Hawks played like the Bulls, the Lakers at the Georgia Dome, and the bad teams they played at Georgia Tech. I knew with some obstructed view seats where just like one fifth of the court you couldn't see, so we were able to move down to where those seats were and actually see the games on Saturday and Monday. But it's. But like I said, at least on that, in the middle, you might be able to see a little bit, but it's, unless you have, I guess, kind of mid-court, the football seats, at the lower level, you're not going to be able to see a whole lot in these, in a football stadium anyway.
I guess it's just to say you've been there.
Well, I know from Alabama, I was kind of surprised. I didn't get tickets for. I'm actually not going today. I can catch up at the office here, but I got tickets. I'm going tomorrow, Saturday. But I didn't get tickets in Louisville, but I got Final Four tickets, and I kind of started laughing. I go, well, I know where I'm at. If I got Final Four tickets that easily, I'm going to be up in the one of the end zones or something where you'll see look like ants playing basketball. So.
That's the only issue. Like what Scott and I were saying about watching it in NRG Stadium or whatever in Houston. It's just one of those things where, good grief, it's going to be unless you're in the highfalutins, it's just going to be microscopic trying to watch the game.
Yeah, it's tough.
Oh yeah, way impossible more than. I guess that's what you bring. I guess you bring your phone with you, and you can watch it on your phone. So.
Yeah, it's almost better to do.
Yeah, so I mean, because it's so far away.
Oh.
Well, go pull the Hawkeyes through. Actually, talking about Alabama and Auburn too. Once you get into the tournament, I don't pull against Auburn, but I'll pull for a close game. One thing I want Alabama to win, and all the other games I want to be close. That's what I'm looking for. Or good games because that's what you'll change your TV station. Last night there was no option. For today, you'll have 3 or 4 options, and you're going to, the average person is going to change to the one that 60 to 60 or something. Is what you're going to go to because you're looking for close, good close games. It's what you want.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
that's what makes the tournament special.
Yeah, especially now where you can go to any of the 4. It's not you're not stuck with one TV station or anything where you can actually, pick and choose anyone you want. So, what makes it great.
Yes, totally agree. All right,
see you guys later.
Thanks for the phone call, Richard. All right, so speaking of the NCAA tournament, coming up next year. Okay, it is going to go to where we had the college football national champion. This is where we had the Super Bowl this past year. It's going to be at State Farm Arena there in Phoenix. So that is where we're going to have the Final Four next year. And then it goes to the Alamo Dome. Then it goes to Lucas Oil Stadium, Ford Field in Detroit, Allegiant Stadium out there in Las Vegas in 28. Now, you want to talk about seeing little mini-me's. Then Lucas Oil Stadium again, and then AT&T Stadium there in 2030. So they've already got the Final Four sites all laid out. Now, next year, it will not be anywhere near Birmingham. It's going to be your early sites are going to be Brooklyn, the Barclays Center, Charlotte, Indianapolis, Gainbridge Fieldhouse, not Lucas Oil, and then in Omaha, Nebraska. So Pittsburgh, those are going to be some early sites next year, but that's where the Final Four is going to visit in the next few years. So get ready. Again, if you are a fan of dome shooting, not dome shooting, there is some big numbers, and we'll go over those as we get closer to the Final Four, but there are some historically odd numbers when it comes to arena shooting versus dome shooting and everything like that. We do got to get a break in because when we come back, we're not done. We're going to talk some Arkansas basketball, the Hogs and Eric Musselman.
Interesting first round of this one. This could be another barn burner. We were just talking about Penn State and Texas A&M and Auburn and Iowa, but here we go. I mean, Arkansas, Illinois.
What's the expectations, though, about Arkansas? What's the feeling about the season for the Hogs?
That's a disappointing season. Now it can be rewritten here if they can get to the second weekend, but this is a polarizing team. I really don't know. It was very difficult for me to decide who to pick in this game. I went with Arkansas, but with hesitation.
All right, we'll find out if that hesitation is true throughout every Hogs fan's mind right now. We'll talk Arkansas basketball coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Definitely a little more cloud cover across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. That cloud cover will continue to build across the area as we head into the later part of the afternoon, early into the evening. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid-60s Thursday afternoon. Rain's going to begin to build into the area as we head into Thursday night, early into Friday morning. Could even see a couple of embedded thunderstorms. Temperatures only climbing into the lower 50s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
With over 100 F-150s to choose from and available financing as low as 0%, now is the perfect time to put one in your driveway. It's Truck Month at Woody Anderson Ford. Hi, Bobby White back again, inviting you to come on in for the best selection of F-150s we've had in a while. And if you find one that you like, there is no payment for 90 days. Also, during Truck Month, not only do you get 0% financing for up to 36 months, but we've also got 2.9% financing for 5 years on remaining 22 models with your good credit through Ford Motor Credit. This offer ends April 4th. And don't forget, we make it really easy for you to trade in and trade up on a Ford Blue Advantage Gold Certified or Blue Certified pre-owned vehicle. Great warranties, 24-hour roadside assistance, and you take it home with a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change. Hurry on in for Truck Month. 0% financing, no payments for 90 days, and over 100 F-150s to choose from.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
One wreck on the board now. This one's near Meridianville, 231 around Monroe Road. Had a pedestrian struck by a vehicle in a parking lot there. Still working to clear that one out of the way. And we had a stabbing incident in Hartselle in Morgan County on Colony Lane near Village Drive. They used a medical helicopter to get one person out of there, and they have one person in custody. From routine care to heart failure, Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialists on Bob Wallace Avenue have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
I wanna thank you. Thank you for making us your number one choice for sports talk in North Alabama.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Welcome back, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you live from Bill Penny Toyota. We are sitting here in the service department Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. They can service your vehicles. And then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., let the fine folks here at Bill Penny Toyota take care of all of your vehicle needs. And don't forget, the fine folks here at Bill Penny Toyota now can rent you a vehicle as well. They got short-term rentals, long-term rentals, reliability, versatility, and rentability. It is Rent a Toyota today from Bill Penny Toyota. And speaking of today, the Arkansas Razorbacks, that NCAA tournament getting underway here in about 3 hours. You still have time to get your bracket in. The 97.7 ESPN The Zone Bracket Challenge presented by Talent Heating and Air. You still have time to get that in. But the Arkansas Razorbacks, one of those ones that if you're looking at it and you might sit here and you might pencil in. This is why you do it in pencil at first, because you might pencil in Arkansas to win that first round game, then you might cross it off, and then you might put in another team because you don't know about Arkansas. It's like you better have an eraser handy, because 1 minute you're solid on the Hogs and the next minute you're like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it was like that in Nashville. I mean, when Arkansas, they defeated Auburn, and I knew that would be a really tight, tough game on Thursday. And then they looked like a team that was going to make a deep run in March for a half. Right. Against against a really good Texas A&M team up 38-25, and then they proceeded to get outscored 42-23 in the second half. So I really don't know what to make of this Arkansas team. They're extremely talented. I have them marching on after today, getting to the round 2, but we really don't know. I think this is one of the more polarizing teams we've seen. Extremely talented, but not sure what to expect. And we're going to talk with our next guest, who, of course, is part of Pig Trail Nation and Hogville, and that is Otis Kirk. He's been with us many times. It's been a while since we've had him on the show, but we are extremely happy to feature him this morning and that he's taken the time out to join us and get his thoughts on this Arkansas team, which I think is one of the more polarizing ones when it comes to the NCAA tournament. Otis, welcome back to Huntsville. You're with Drew and Scott. How are you this morning?
Hey, thank you for having me on here. And I tell you what, I've covered every game. I missed one game. I missed the LSU game when I was at the Liberty Bowl. Other than that, I've covered every game that they've played this year, and I feel the same way you do. I have no idea what they're going to do today. I mean, when I think they're going to lose, they usually win, and when I think they're going to win, I think, man, they're playing good ball now. Then they'll lay an egg for a couple of games, in which they don't have 2 games to do that now. I mean, it's a team. This has been the hardest team. I've always been able to figure out teams by the halfway point. You knew most teams were going to struggle early in the SEC. They do it every year, but this was just different. And I said that early on. I said this is different, and it has been different. There wasn't a button to push to turn on for this team to turn around like the previous 2 did. I just didn't see that happening, and it has. That's one thing I did hit on. But there's no telling what they'll do today. I mean, they could go up there and they could beat Illinois and they could beat Kansas, or they could lose today by 10 or 15 points. I mean, they've got enough talent in the way they play. They could match up well with Kansas.
Yes,
but,
I agree.
I mean, you just can't predict that. I mean, you just don't know how they're going to play. They may not even get to Kansas. They may lose today.
Well, Otis, if you had to put a finger on it, what is? I mean, there's got to be multiple things, but what is one of the things that is kind of holding them back from being that team that when they go out there, you know what to expect, that consistent team?
Well, I think the lack of outside shooting has been one, and I know A&M has advanced and done really well without much of an outside game. I get that, but this team is different than A&M. I think outside shooting, they just haven't had good outside shooting, but injuries did affect them. Now, I mean, losing Trevin Brazile. See, I think losing Trevin Brazile was bigger than losing Nick Smith. I mean, you got a 6'10" guy who can shoot three, and I'm not downplaying Nick. I think he's the best player on Arkansas team. One of the best players in the SEC. But I'm just saying, Trevin Brazile, you don't replace a 6'10" kid who can shoot three, can guard 4 positions. It's just hard to replace that. So I think they would have been a different team had Nick played all season and Brazile played all season, but they didn't. But I think, to answer your question, I think outside shooting has been a thorn in their side. And I know A&M has made adjustments and gotten past that. Arkansas, I don't know. Their inside guys have been inconsistent. Mekhi Mitchell has been the best of the group. Graham comes in and gives you some points, but then he gives a baskets on the other end at a fast clip. Kamani Johnson has been inconsistent. Mitchell's brother has not really been consistent. Inconsistency among the big men and lack of outside shooting is combined to make it where teams have zoned them, and it's really made it hard on Arkansas at times. Now the games when they're hitting their shots, they're, as you said, the first half of the A&M game and the SEC tournament, when they're playing like that, they can beat anybody. But this is truly a team that can beat anybody or can lose to anybody. I mean, it's that simple.
Yeah, it really is. And I'll be honest, when I was there in Nashville, when they played so well in the first half against A&M, I thought we might see them playing Alabama again in the championship game.
Yeah. I mean, they could have, but they just didn't put together two halves, and they've done that quite a bit. I mean, the same thing happened at Vanderbilt earlier in the year. Yeah. They're way ahead of Vanderbilt. Like I said, I've covered every game except the LSU game, the first game against LSU when they were at Baton Rouge. But other than that, and I've seen this happen so many times. There's been other examples of where, I thought when they beat Kentucky up there, they beat South Carolina on the road, then they went to Kentucky and blew the Wildcats out. And I'm thinking they've got this thing turned around. And Nick was coming back and stuff. But then they go lose to Mississippi State at home. Then they go, and then they closed out the season. The one thing about it, I'm looking at this matchup today.
Yes.
Arkansas and Illinois are both 4-10 in the last. 4-6 in the last 10 games. 4-6 in the last 10 games. So they both have kind of taken different routes to get here, but they're at the same place. Neither one's playing really good basketball right now, and so it's kind of a matchup of two teams that probably are better than their seed, but there's a reason they're seated where they are, and I'm not knocking where they're seated. I'm just saying they're probably better teams than where they're seated, but inconsistent play have caused them to be seated where they are, and that's in the second round, and this is what Muss has been good about. His teams have been really good about winning and avoiding this second-round deal. That's what got Mike Anderson a lot at Arkansas. They would lose games during the regular season they probably shouldn't have lost, and they did. Then in the second round, they'd have to play a real high 1 or 2 seed, and that's what Arkansas is going to have to do. If they beat Illinois, they'll have to obviously probably a 99% chance of playing Kansas, So that's what they've been able to avoid. They didn't avoid that this year, and we'll see how far they can advance.
You're feeling today, though. You're feeling ultimately with Arkansas and Illinois today. If Arkansas comes out and gets that W, what will have to go right?
They'll have to avoid turnovers, just get consistent play from everybody, not just Nick Smith. You can't, or not just Anthony Black or not Ricky Council. They've got to have Devo. You've got to have everybody clicking on all cylinders. If all their players are clicking and really playing well, and they avoid a bunch of turnovers and they're hitting enough they're not going to go out there and look like the Golden State Warriors or something hitting 3-point shots. They don't have a Steph Curry or Klay Thompson, but they've got to hit some, make it respectable, get Illinois, on their heels, and if they can do that, they'll win the game. If they have a bad shooting night, have a bunch of turnovers and just inconsistent play, lose their composure. They've done that. They lost their composure against A&M in the term. They lost their composure against Vanderbilt in the second half over there, or even first half over there, but it led to some second half woes. To keep their composure and stuff, they'll be fine, but if they don't do that, they're going to lose. It's just that simple.
Well, and what is your feel for how Muss feels about his team? Because watching the second half, I just didn't feel like he liked his team, when they were playing the way they were against Texas A&M. It's almost like you kind of mentioned it in your opening when you were talking about how you don't know what to expect. It's almost like he's tried to push every button with his squad and doesn't know what result he's going to get.
Well, I think that's definitely the case. I think the thing, and that's what has happened in the past. Muss is known. He gets a bunch of transfers. He gets new players, and they had 11 new players out of the 13 scholarship players this year. But he's been able to mold that team, whereas, they'll start out a little slow in the SEC, maybe the last non-conference game or two, and then the SEC beginning play, they've struggled. But then they've been able to mold that team, push the buttons, and he gets what he wants out of them. This season, I don't think he's been able to, and it's got to be frustrating for the guy. I mean, he knows what they need to do, but getting them to do it, and they may do it for a game, and when they do, they look. I mean, as you said, when they played the first half against A&M, they looked like they could beat anybody. But then, and they looked pretty good against Auburn. But then they go into that funk, and they just it's going to be frustrating for him because they've got they're a better team than what they've shown. But their record is what it is because of their play. It's not some conspiracy, so they've brought the record on themselves, but it's got to be frustrating for the coach. Yeah, I mean, in the past, he's been able to push the buttons and the players respond. And I don't think he's got that, even with Nick, I don't think he's got that J.D. Note, that Mason Jones, that the guy like that can hold Jalen Williams that can
just
hold
a winner,
this thing together. Yeah, I just don't think he's got that one guy that in the past when things would go bad, Note would get you some baskets. Jalen Williams would take a big charge, something to change the momentum and stop the bad play and get it turned back around. And I haven't seen anybody on the team. Anthony Black early on looked like he might be that guy, but he hasn't been that guy in the recent weeks. He's played well, but he hasn't been that guy. I'm talking about a guy that can make that play that changes you look like things are going bad, and he makes that play. Mason Jones could do that extremely well. And they don't. I haven't seen that on this team, and I think that's one thing that's frustrated Muss. I just don't think he's got one guy, even as good as Nick Smith Jr. is, that he can hang his hat on and say, "This is what I'm going to get, and this is what I want," and then they get it, and it's got to be frustrating, man.
Well, does he? He's not going to change what he does. Eric Musselman, is there going to be another round of transfer portal guys next year to try to replace the guys that, or the replace the needs that he needs again?
Yeah, and but this time I hope he goes for some more shooters. I think, and I put that on Muss. I do. I think he got a bunch of 5-stars from high school, obviously, but he got transfers. And everybody last year was talking about they need size, and he went and got size. I get that. So he did what a lot of people were saying they need. But I think along the way, you've got to get a couple of guys. You got to get some lasers in there, man. I mean, you got to get some guys that they're consistent putting the ball in the hole from the three are good threats. I mean, Ricky Council wasn't that guy at Wichita. He's not that guy at Arkansas. He can have a big game, but he's not going to do it consistently from the three. And that was your one. I mean, that was the non-big that you got that you're counting on, and then I don't know. I think he's going to go to the portal. Yeah, he's not going to change. As you said, he's not going to change what he does. But I think he's got to put more emphasis on some shooters. And obviously he's going to need big men. He's going to need this. He's going to need that. But I do think he's got to put more emphasis on getting some shooters in here. Either that or find them in the high school ranks. You've got to find them somewhere because you've got to get some shooters. You just can't keep playing with the 3-point game that they're having. And A&M's having some success with that. But I think that may bite them in the rear in the tournament, at some point here. We'll see. I hope not, but we'll see.
I agree. And finally, Otis, I mean, if Arkansas is going to pull out this win, what do they need to do? I think they need to have a big game out of Nick Smith, and I firmly believe this. If they do find a way to win today, they can scare the daylights out of Kansas.
Oh yeah, they match up well with Kansas, and I think they can beat Kansas. I mean, they played Baylor off their heels down in Waco, and to play Kansas on neutral court, yeah, I think that if this team can play with just about anybody, I don't know if I told a friend yesterday if they played Alabama 10 times, I don't know if they'd beat them one time. I really don't. And I'm not saying that because I'm on an Alabama station. I've said that Alabama is really a team that matches up well with Arkansas and does some better things. But for the most part, most of these teams like Houston and Kansas and stuff, I think Arkansas, if they're playing well, can match up really well with those, especially Kansas. And because they did with Baylor. Baylor beat Kansas, and Arkansas went to Waco and matched up really well and almost beat them. And I think if they can, I agree. I think Nick's got to have a big game. Nick's got to have a big game for Arkansas to beat any of these teams. But he's got to get some help. But, they'll definitely put a scare into Kansas. It would not shock me at all if they beat Kansas. If they win this game today, and I'm not predicting they'll beat Kansas. I don't even know, like I said, if they'll even get there. But if they do, it would not surprise me. It would not be a surprise if they're going to make it a big national upset. It's not going to be an upset. I mean, if Arkansas beats Kansas, but then again, they could go out and lose the next game to somebody else. So it's just been the way this team played. They haven't put together big, long winning streaks and playing well during the stretch against good teams. It just hasn't happened. Look at the SEC. It just hasn't happened where they've strung together a lot of good performances back to back to back to back. It just hasn't happened in the SEC.
It hasn't. Well, Otis, we always appreciate the time. Let everybody know how to connect with your work, my friend.
Yeah, just, I'm on Hogville, Pig Trail Nation, Otis Kirk 23 on Twitter. Give us a follow and check it out, and we'll see how the SEC does in the big dance. I think Alabama will win it. But then again, the bad thing about this, well, not the bad, but the big thing, one bad game, and you can't afford that now, and it can happen to any team. It can happen to any team. So, but if everything goes well, I think Alabama wins it, but we'll see. I mean, but I don't think Kansas wins it. I really don't. Whether it's Arkansas or somebody else, I don't think Kansas wins it.
Well, thanks, Otis. Appreciate it.
Okay. See you, man.
All right, thanks, Otis. Let's get a break in, wrap up this extravaganza when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Our last reported accident was a pedestrian struck by a vehicle, 231 in Monroe Road in a parking lot. They're still showing that one on the board. Everything else from earlier appears to be clear. Just a lot of folks scrambling trying to get in on time this morning. You be careful if you're in that last-minute group. No hose, no mask. You could ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Eck in the Jordan Lane, Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Now's the time to order your spiral cut honey glazed ham or turkey for Easter from Apple Lane in Decatur. Or maybe consider ordering the family meal deal for Easter that includes an Apple Lane ham, a dozen rolls, sweet potato dumplings, potato salad, and Apple Lane's award-winning banana pudding. If you're hosting a corporate event or just a group of friends, Apple Lane has you covered. They have all kinds of box lunch and party tray options. To order for Easter or anytime, log on applelanefarms.com. Apple Lane on the Beltline in Decatur. Tired of the same old menu options everywhere you go? Then you need to try Metro Diner in Huntsville and Madison. The award-winning Metro Diner serves up signature dishes like their Charleston shrimp and grits, famous fried chicken and waffles with strawberry butter, and lots more. Their entire menu is available anytime, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And stop by for brunch on Saturday or Sunday and enjoy the lowest price mimosas in town. Airport Road, Huntsville, and Highway 72 in Madison. In diner or at home, make it Metro Diner.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
And indeed, welcome back. Don't forget, this is your last warning from us. Get your NCAA bracket in now. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We're nearing 150 entries into the 97.7 ESPN The Zone Bracket Challenge. So you still have time to get it in. You just have until those games tip off, and then they lock it. So then you will not be able to get in. You won't be able to win an all-inclusive membership to Cherokee Ridge. But anyway, we're wrapping up our time here at Bill Penny Toyota. 32 years ago on this day, Loyola Marymount's Bo Kimball scores 45, honors his friend and teammate Hank Gathers, who died on the court 12 days prior by shooting a left-handed free throw in the first round of the NCAA tournament. It was a tournament win for Loyola Marymount, but Hank Gathers passing away, and I think everybody knows
one of the saddest things I've ever witnessed live. I mean, I saw it on the, as they always played at midnight, on the, as Loyola Marymount part of the West Coast Conference, and when you saw Hank and what happened to him, he had already gone through a health issue, but when you saw it, you just knew it wasn't good, and it was incredibly sad. And that Loyola Marymount team put out Alabama in the Sweet 16 in a very close game. I believe it was a 62-60 type game.
So Loyola Marymount had Hank Gathers been there. I mean, they national championship good. Remember, they were Paul Westphal. They were scoring over 100. I mean, they went
to the Elite Eight without Hank, and also that UNLV team that won it all.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines real fast.
What's up, Brandon?
I never eat ribs this early in the morning, but I guess I'm gonna make an exception today.
Well, I mean, but you got to drive to. I mean, Dreamland's all right in Birmingham, but Tuscaloosa's better.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in here and get something any way I can. My kid's out of school today, so we're bringing him. They're having conferences, and I said, well, what are we going to do for food? Because I don't really know you'll have enough time to leave between the games or if you can come back in. Haven't had BJCC food in like 5 years. So, Drew, I'll see you when you get here. I'll have the tar and feathers ready.
There you go. All right, so it's going to be a busy day down there at the BJCC. The action down there actually gets underway with the very first game of the day, West Virginia.
The whole tournament.
Yeah, West Virginia, and they're in action down there.
Maryland.
Yep, so that's it. Don't forget, Alabama 145, I believe. Is it 145? Yeah, tip-off down there. 97.7 ESPN The Zone is your home for that. So download the app. Get that bracket challenge in. We thank Bill Penny Toyota for being here. Or for being with us, letting us be here, I should say. There we go. Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Let them service your vehicles as Bill Penny Toyota.
Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256